Okay, let's unpack this. We all know AI is, well, it's an absolutely incredible tool. It's helping us tackle really complex problems, pushing boundaries. But here's the flip side, right? What happens when that same power lands in the wrong hands? When threat actors, the malicious players, start using AI not to build, but to break things, to deceive, maybe to steal.
That's the central challenge, yeah. And it's exactly what this new report gets into. We've been looking through this document, and it details specific instances, case studies really, of how AI is actively being leveraged by these malicious actors across different areas. But crucially, it also shows how those very uses are being detected and, importantly, disrupted.
Right. So our mission today is to go deep into this report. We want to pull out the essential insights, understand the real-world landscape of AI abuse as revealed through these specific case studies the report lays out. What did the researchers actually see happening on the ground?
And the scope is, well, it's pretty broad. It covers everything from, common scams and some very specific deceptive hiring attempts, all the way to more sophisticated covert influence operations and complex cyberattacks too. What's striking is the global nature. These activities, they're originating from many different parts of the world.
Okay, so let's dive into this document then. Let's see what it tells us about this fast-moving threat landscape and, what AI is really adding to the mix.
Okay, kicking things off with the executive summary. The report immediately states the core mission, ensuring artificial intelligence ultimately benefits humanity, which means deploying these innovations to solve problems. That's the goal.
But they are clear-eyed about the duality, aren't they? AI is definitely a tool for threat actors, potentially making their attacks more effective or maybe just easier to scale up. Yet the report emphasizes that AI is also being used by defenders, by researchers, by investigators acting as a kind of force multiplier to detect and disrupt these activities.
Exactly. And over just the 3 months covered since their last report, they used AI tools and insights to detect, disrupt, and expose a variety of specific abusive activities. These fall into categories like social engineering, cyber espionage, deceptive employment schemes, covert influence operations, and various scams.
And the report doesn't shy away from talking about origins. It mentions that a notable portion, I think it was 4 out of the 10 cases highlighted, appeared to originate in China, spanning social engineering, influence campaigns, cyber threats. But they also disrupted abuses linked to many other regions. The report specifically mentions a large task scam likely from Cambodia.
Right.
Comment spamming from the Philippines, influence attempts potentially tied to Russia and Iran, and those deceptive employment schemes with behavior consistent with North Korea DPRK-linked activity.
Yeah, and it's important, as the report notes, they're reporting on observed activity. They're not trying to make definitive geopolitical statements here.
Good.
Yes, and they stress that the methods for investigating these AI-driven threats are constantly evolving. Every disruption they achieve provides new data points, helps them understand the TTPs, the tactics, techniques, procedures threat actors are using, which in turn refines their own AI-powered defenses. It's a cycle.
They also mentioned collaborating with peers, specifically citing welcomed reports from companies like Google and Anthropic, reinforcing that this is really a shared global challenge across the whole AI and tech landscape, isn't it?
Absolutely. Okay, so let's dig into the specific examples the report provides. They group them into clusters, and the first one focuses on deceptive recruitment and scams.
Yes. This first one is particularly revealing, I thought, about the life cycle of an AI-assisted attack. It's a deceptive employment scheme targeting IT workers with behavior pointing towards a likely origin consistent with North Korea, so DPRK-linked activity.
What this case really shows us is how AI can be used across the entire process of a sophisticated social engineering attack.
Right.
That's the key takeaway here. The actors were using AI not just for, one step, but from start to finish. Creating fake personas, generating custom resumes tailored to specific job descriptions, even completing initial application tasks. They used it for preparing for interviews, researching technical details for remote work setups. The report even suggests 2 types of operators might have been involved, were core players focused on automating with AI, and maybe contractors assisting with things like operating hardware.
Wow, okay. So they were using AI to automate the creation of believable application materials at scale. That's significant. And the technical research AI helped with is, well, it's fascinatingly specific. Looking into tools like Tailscale, that's a peer-to-peer VPN service, right? And OBS Studio, Vdito.ninja, things used for live feed video manipulation, and even HDMI capture loops.
Yeah, and the report points out these tools could potentially be used to bypass corporate security checks. the kind that rely on verifying identity via live video feeds during remote work.
Sneaky.
Exactly. So AI was a force multiplier here, both for automating repetitive tasks like resume generation and for enabling sophisticated evasion techniques by researching these technical workarounds. Now, the success rate for the threat actors is hard to measure, but the insight here is that their reliance on AI actually left a trail. The very act of interacting with the AI models, to research and automate, it increased their exposure. It enabled detection and allowed these specific methods to be shared with others in the security community.
That's a critical takeaway. AI helps them, sure, but it can also help us spot them. Okay, another case in this scam cluster. Operation Wrong Number. Likely rooted in Cambodia, this one.
Right, this is more of a classic task scam. Victims are promised high pay for trivial work, like liking social media posts, often encouraged to recruit others for bonuses. What stands out here is how AI enabled just massive scale and multilingual reach. The actors used AI to generate recruitment messages in tons of languages: English, Spanish, Swahili, Kinyarwanda, German, Haitian Creole. Yeah. It looked like a very centralized operation.
And the use of AI for translation was key, wasn't it? They translated conversational messages, often between Chinese and all those other languages, to generate realistic-looking scripts or even fake conversations showing supposed earnings. Made it seem legit.
Yeah, and the report even mentions the operation got its name Wrong Number, because one of the initial cold SMS messages was sent randomly to an OpenAI investigator.
Oh, really?
A fascinating bit of serendipity that helped expose the operation. Victims were typically moved from SMS to WhatsApp, then to a designated mentor on Telegram, sometimes even a specific chat app called BonChat, claiming to represent fake companies like Haisong Advertising.
Okay.
The report describes their consistent workflow as ping, zing, sting.
Ping, zing, sting. Okay.
The ping is that initial cold contact, promising easy work, high wages. The zing is generating enthusiasm and trust, often using those AI-translated fake conversations, screenshots showing earnings, bonuses, making it look incredibly lucrative and real. And the sting, well, that's where they extract money, demanding deposits, crypto purchases, various handling fees to continue getting tasks, or to withdraw their supposed earnings.
Yeah, that ping, zing, sting pattern is a huge red flag in these task scams. And as the report points out, the offer itself, paying $5 or more for a single social media like, that's wildly disconnected from reality, isn't it? A clear sign something's off.
Absolutely. And while the full global reach is hard to quantify, the report did find evidence of individuals actually losing money. Interestingly, they also saw genuine users defending the scam companies online. Maybe they've been successfully groomed or perhaps paid small amounts initially to build trust. AI's primary role here was clearly enabling that massive scale and the multilingual messaging through translation.
Okay, let's shift gears now to the second cluster, covert influence operations, or IO. This is where AI is used to try and, manipulate public opinion or push specific narratives online. First up, Operation Sneer Review, likely originating in China.
Right. This operation focused on generating social media content, short comments, sometimes longer posts across a whole range of platforms: TikTok, X, Reddit, Facebook, various web forums. A key AI technique they used was simulating organic engagement. So they'd post a main piece of content and then immediately post AI-generated replies from other accounts they controlled, just to make it look like a real conversation was happening and maybe boost its visibility. They also used AI to draft internal documents, apparently.
And the content itself is clearly aligned with China's interests, yeah. The report gives specific examples, criticizing that game Reversed Front, which is Taiwan-centric, targeting a Pakistani activist, Meringue Baloff, with false accusations, complete with a generated video and tons of AI-generated comments trying to create this false impression of widespread public anger.
Exactly. And commenting on the closure of U.S. aid, trying to frame it negatively and link it to U.S. tariffs, it's quite blatant.
And the use of AI extended to drafting internal operational documents, too, like policy docs.
Yeah, one was a policy document on, cultivating self-discipline for the operators. The other was a detailed performance review that apparently mirrored the observed behavior of the accounts. The accounts themselves were often telltale signs, screen names, or profile pics, just didn't line up with the language or the claimed location of the content.
So how effective was it?
Well, the impact was assessed as low by the report. Category 3 or 2, they put it, which suggests it was probably in its early stages and achieved very little authentic engagement, despite those inflated like view counts boosted by the AI comments trying to fake interaction.
Right. Fake buzz. Okay, next is Operation High Five, traced back to the Philippines, linked to a commercial marketing company there.
Their method involved bulk generation of short comments. using AI to analyze existing posts and then generate new comments, mainly in English and Taglish, that mix of Tagalog and English, focused on domestic Philippine politics, often pro-Marcos or anti-Duterte, even nicknaming Duterte Princess Fiona, apparently.
Princess Fiona, okay. And they used AI to generate marketing materials for their own operation.
Yeah, that's the surprising bit. Sales pitches, mentioning plans for 5 specific TikTok channels for the campaign, using AI to promote their AI-driven influence op.
Huh. Where were these comments posted?
Mostly on TikTok, often replying to the network's own videos, presumably to make them look more popular. And on Facebook, typically replying to posts from mainstream news outlets. The accounts used for commenting were pretty flimsy, few or no friends, followers, other posts, typical sock puppet stuff. And the report notes the actors even tried to come back after being banned. Persistent.
And the impact here, also low.
It's also low, yeah. Category 2. Despite generating thousands of comments, the report says none of the ones they identified got more than single-digit likes, replies, or shares. So their goal, maybe to inundate comment sections, especially on mainstream news, was only partially successful compared to the total volume of real comments. AI gave them scale in generating comments, but not really in getting them seen or engaged with authentically.
That makes sense. Okay, Operation Helgoland Bite. This one apparently originates in Russia.
Yes. This operation generated German-language content, critical of the U.S. and NATO, and focused on the upcoming German 2025 election, primarily distributed via a Telegram channel called Nachhall von Helgoland, Echo of Helgoland, and an X account.
What's significant about the distribution network here?
Well, content from that Telegram channel was regularly reposted, verbatim, on a domain affiliated with the Pravda network, which is known to be part of the Russian-linked Portal Combat Influence network that's been identified previously. So there's a connection there.
Right.
The X account also had a pretty substantial following, used an AI-generated profile picture, and often posted content supporting the AfD party in Germany.
And how was AI used specifically?
Generating articles and comments, mainly, but they also explicitly asked AI models for publicly available information on German opposition activists and bloggers, including contact info, which suggests research for targeting or maybe even doxing.
Worrying.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
They also used AI for translating messages between Russian and German, seemingly coordinating posts or maybe payments between operators.
Impact assessment.
Towards the upper end of Category 2. They had some audience on Telegram and X, so some potential reach. But the authentic engagement and actual influence, still unclear. AI mainly streamlined content creation and got around language barriers.
Got it. Now, Operation Uncle Spam, originating in China, took a different tack, didn't it? Maybe more insidious.
Yeah, I'd say so. Instead of just pushing one agenda, they aimed to deepen existing societal divisions. How? By generating polarized social media content on divisive U.S. political topics, often supporting both sides of a debate simultaneously, just trying to stir the pot.
Both sides.
Yeah, exactly. They also used AI to figure out optimal posting times, which suggests maybe they learned from previous ops that got spotted because they posted during China's working hours, not local U.S. times, and they leveraged AI to generate profile images for entirely fictitious U.S. personas, including pretty convincing images of U.S. veterans critical of the current administration, really trying to blend in.
And beyond content, they were using AI for data extraction.
Seems like it. They requested code and methods from AI models to extract personal data from platforms like X and Bluesky, using tools like Queepy and Mitter. Also used AI to analyze profile data, potentially to categorize people or figure out associations for better targeting down the line.
So the goal here was clearly exploiting existing divisions, sowing discord rather than pushing a single view. Impact.
Low impact again, Category 2. Little authentic engagement, even though some accounts showed thousands of followers, but the authenticity of those followers was questionable. AI was used for the persona creation, the content timing, and potentially that data analysis piece.
Okay, and finally in this influence cluster, a case of recidivism. Storm 2035, likely linked to Iran.
Right. This actor who's been disrupted before came back, and this time used AI. Prompting in Persian, generating small batches of tweets in English and Spanish on X, posing as residents of the U.S., UK, Ireland, Venezuela, often using profile pics copies from the internet, maybe Pinterest, with faces obscured. That's a common tactic to avoid reverse image search detection.
And the content themes?
Pretty focused. Latino rights and anti-Trump stuff in Spanish. Scottish independence, anti-UK in English. Irish reunification. Expulsion of the British in English. Support for Venezuela, Cuba in Spanish. Palestinian rights in both. And praise for Iran's military and diplomacy, mainly in Spanish. The report gives specific tweet examples. Notably, they kept this AI-driven activity separate from their previous multi-platform efforts, this time just focused on X.
And the impact?
Very low. Category 1. The tweets got minimal views, like 150, 350, and critically, 0 likes, shares, or comments.
Zero.
Absolutely no evidence of amplification by real users. So AI provided the content generation capability, but it had basically no observable impact.
Right. Okay, let's shift gears again. Moving into the cyber operations cluster now. First, scope creep linked to a Russian-speaking threat actor.
Yeah, this case is a great illustration of AI being used as sort of a developer's assistant, but for malicious code. This actor used AI to help develop and refine pretty complex multi-stage Windows malware written in Go. They used models like ChatGPT specifically for debugging code across multiple languages and for setting up their command and control, the C2 infrastructure, the server the malware calls home to.
Okay.
They showed some understanding of operational security, or OPSEC, using temporary emails, keeping AI conversations separate for each specific code improvement, trying not to cross-contaminate.
So AI was helping them actually build the weapon. How did they distribute it?
Through a fake code repository online, impersonating a legitimate tool called Crosshair X.
Oh.
The malware itself had several capabilities, and the report notes these were developed with AI assistance. Things like stealthy execution via DLL, sideloading hiding malicious code inside legitimate system files, obfuscation with the themata attacker, making the code harder for analysts to pick apart, privilege escalation, gaining higher access on a compromised system, evading Windows Defender using PowerShell via Go, using encrypted HTTPS traffic over port 80, trying to look like normal web traffic, credential theft, stealing usernames, passwords, sending Telegram notifications when a new victim was infected, and using SOCKS5 proxies to route their traffic and hide their origin. A whole toolkit.
Wow, so AI helped put all those pieces together.
It seems like it helped iteratively, yeah. Adding specific features step by step. It was definitely a major debugging assistant. They'd paste in error messages, stack traces, ask the AI for solutions. They also used it to research techniques like, how do I add a Windows Defender exclusion, or how do I integrate with a Telegram API?
And the impact here, was it successful?
Well, the impact was mitigated because the malicious repository was identified and taken down relatively quickly. But what's fascinating is the report points out that while AI sped up their development, it paradoxically also increased their detectability.
How so?
Their interactions with the AI models left traces. The prompts they used, the code snippets they pasted, it gave defenders clues they could follow. And while the capabilities developed weren't revolutionary, they were mostly variations on known techniques, AI just made it easier for this particular actor to build them. Lowered the barrier, maybe.
Interesting trade-off. Okay, finally in the cyber cluster, we have Vixen and Keyhole Panda, two distinct actors linked to China-based infrastructure, associated with groups like APT5 and APT15.
That's right. APTs are just common names for specific, well-tracked, state-sponsored or state-linked hacking groups. And these actors used AI across a really broad range of cyber operations. It wasn't just one specific task. It seemed woven into their general workflow.
So what kind of activities are we talking about?
All sorts. Using AI for open source research with tools like Rengen and Selenium, common tools for web recon and automation, Linux system administration tasks, setting up firewalls, planning offline deployments, diverse software development, web, Android, C, Golang, setting up infrastructure VPNs, Docker containers, even exploring the use of local large language models, LLMs, maybe to avoid using cloud-based ones and reduce their footprint.
And specific AI uses, what did they ask it to do?
Again, a wide range. Generating password brute forcing scripts, modifying port scanning scripts, tools used to find network vulnerabilities, researching AI-driven penetration testing methods like using LLMs to analyze output from network mapping tools like Nmap and then build attack commands based on that, automating tasks on Android devices, potentially for social media manipulation, and, quite significantly, extensive research into very specific and sensitive targets, querying AI about the U.S. federal defense industry, military networks, government tech.
Like what specifically?
The report mentions specific systems and concepts. RIPR, JWICS, SOCOM. These are highly secure military and intelligence networks and commands, satellite technology, ground stations, identity cards, specific networking gear, really detailed recon.
So what was the outcome for these actors?
Their accounts were disabled, and the intelligence gathered was shared with partners. But here's a really key finding from the report for these cases. They found no evidence that AI provided these actors with novel capabilities or insights that weren't already publicly available somewhere.
Ah, okay. So it didn't give them superpowers.
Exactly. Instead, AI seemed to provide broad visibility into the actors' extensive research and development workflows. It essentially gave defenders a window into what they were trying to build or learn, a sort of intelligence coup, in a way.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize all these case studies now. If we pull back, what are the big picture trends the report highlights about how threat actors are leveraging AI right now?
Well, one overarching theme is definitely AI's role as a tool for efficiency and for scaling malicious operations. That comes through again and again. Whether it's generating thousands of scam messages, simulating engagement for influence campaigns, automating resume creation, or accelerating malware development, AI helps these actors do more, faster, and potentially with fewer resources.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we saw examples across the board where AI is being used at multiple stages of a campaign, didn't we? From the initial planning and research, through content creation, execution, to even into attempts at evasion and post-op analysis or debugging. It's not just a single point solution for them.
Not at all. And the report clearly demonstrates the global reach of these activities. Varied origins, diverse targets all around the world. It's not concentrated in one place.
And a consistent finding, especially maybe in the cyber cases, but you saw it in influence too, is that AI often makes existing capabilities faster or easier to execute, rather than providing entirely new or revolutionary methods that weren't possible before. It's more about amplification.
Right. And this leads to that fascinating paradox the report keeps pointing out. Using AI can sometimes inadvertently increase the attacker's detectability. Their interactions with the AI models, the prompts they use, the code they paste, the research they do, can leave these digital traces that defenders can then use to identify and disrupt their activities. It's a double-edged sword for them, too.
Which brings us neatly to the final major trend, I think. The absolute critical importance of collaboration among defenders. Sharing information, like the details in this report, building collective defenses, it's essential because no single company or agency can see the whole picture alone, can they?
Absolutely not. It has to be a team effort.
Yeah.
Stepping back, why does all of this matter to you, the listener? Why should you care about these specific examples of AI being used maliciously?
Well, because these aren't abstract threats happening somewhere far away, are they? These are real-world risks enabled or amplified by AI that can directly impact individuals and society. We're talking about scams targeting people's money, influence operations trying to manipulate what you see and believe online, cyber threats that could potentially compromise critical infrastructure or steal sensitive data. These are risks that AI is making more potent or easier to deploy.
But, and this is important, the report also offers a crucial counterpoint and, frankly, a source of insight. The defender's advantage. The very same AI tools and advanced analytical capabilities being leveraged by attackers are being rapidly deployed by defenders too, to detect, analyze, and disrupt these malicious activities. It's an ongoing dynamic race. And understanding the attacker's playbook, which is exactly what reports like this give us, is vital for developing effective countermeasures and hopefully staying ahead.
So looking back at this deep dive, the report gives us a really unique kind of granular window into how various threat actors are already actively leveraging AI for malicious ends. Everything from relatively simple task scams and deceptive hiring, right up to sophisticated cyber espionage and covert influence campaigns.
Yeah, it strongly underscores that double-edged sword nature of AI. It amplifies capabilities for both attackers and defenders simultaneously. It's creating this incredibly dynamic and evolving security landscape.
So the final thought then, given how quickly threat actors adapt, how they find new ways to exploit technology like AI, and conversely, how crucial AI is becoming for detecting and stopping them, what does this constant back and forth really mean for the future of online safety, for the fight against malicious activity? How will attackers innovate next? And what new adaptations, what new countermeasures will we see emerge in this rapidly evolving landscape? It definitely gives you something to think about.